"Oh, so now you're above the rules." That's what she snapped. Clipboard clutched so tight I thought she might sprout a sheriff's badge right there on my front walk when I told her I wasn't paying her made-up $25 fine. If you'd seen the way she puffed up eyes, all fire and nostrils flared, you'd swear Malene Pierce was running for queen of the cul-de-sac, not just my nosy neighbor. But I'll tell you this, the moment I tacked up a sign on my fence that said, "Not an HOA," in letters big enough for a passing crow to read, that's when things got ugly fast. She started circling my driveway like a hawk phone out burning holes through my every move. You ever had someone police your life so hard? You feel like you're on a reality show. You never signed up for comment, what you would have done. Anyway, it was one of those cool lake mornings, a little breeze rattling my trash can lid when I caught Malene pressing a neon orange ticket across the handle. The letters screamed petty charge in bold, and I froze wallet halfway out, halfway tempted to just pay it and keep the peace, but something deep in me snapped. The money wasn't the point, it was the principle. Years working as a record specialist had taught me to trust that feeling, the itch when paperwork doesn't add up. My job dealing with property files, deeds, county records, all that dry stuff actually gave me an edge, though I didn't realize it yet. So there she was, early 50s, walking up my drive with the certainty of someone used to never being challenged. Bang, 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 3 knocks on my door like she was collecting on a debt. "Good morning, Evan. I'm here about your compliance with our community standards," she announced, eyes locked on that property marker I'd posted on my fence. "That placard is making the neighborhood look bad," she continued, as if her HOA had any say in how I decorate my own property. I looked over at my sign, Morning Sun, catching the letters just right, and I shot back, "Unified appearance sounds nice, but the law doesn't say anything about pretty." Couldn't help myself, the sarcasm just slipped out. She stiffened, clearly not used to someone talking back. I glanced at her clipboard, stuffed with violation slips. She gripped it like a weapon. "Do you realize this lot is outside your HOA's jurisdiction?" I asked, keeping my tone level even though my blood was up. "See the county designation, lot 7849. I pointed right to the numbers on my sign. "And here's my trash contract signed 3 years before your HOA even existed. I never joined your club, never paid dues, never signed anything." I pulled out the folder I keep by the front door, everything neatly tabbed because I don't play around with paperwork. The look on her face, priceless. She hadn't expected resistance, much less someone with documents ready to go. Most folks just pay the fine to make her disappear. But see, agreements in jurisdiction aren't just suggestions, they're the law. And the law actually matters, especially when someone's overstepping. Malene didn't like that one bit. "Our policies apply to the whole neighborhood," she insisted, waving her hand like she was queen of Lakeside. That hit me wrong. I'm not a lawyer, but I know enough about property law to spot when someone's bluffing with an empty hand. "Ma'am, that's not how HOAs work," I replied, trying to keep things civil. But inside I started wondering what else they were wrong about. Her certainty was unsettling, like someone who'd never been challenged, just rolled over everyone with attitude and paperwork. Standing there with that bogus orange slip in my hand, I realized I needed to get the facts once and for all. I dialed 311, my fingers shaking more than I'd like to admit. The county operator sounded like she'd handled this kind of headache before. "Let me check your records," she said, the sound of typing filling the silence as I watched cars rolling by my lake house, heart thudding in my chest. Finally, she said, "Sir, this lot is outside HOA boundaries. They have zero standing to charge you." I felt like someone had blown the final whistle on a game I'd never wanted to play. That moment, it hit me. This wasn't about $25. This was about standing up to someone claiming authority they never had. I leaned on the porch rail, staring at the lake, feeling a wave of relief I didn't know I needed. A tiny confirmation, but it gave me real courage. For the first time, I actually looked forward to seeing what would happen when they realized their bluff had been called. That's when my neighbor Rebecca Shaw came rolling her trash can up the drive, accountant by trade, good head for numbers, and zero patience for nonsense. "Everything all right?" she called, noticing the phone glued to my ear. I explained what the county had just told me, and her eyes lit up with the thrill of a new spreadsheet challenge. She disappeared inside, came back with a stack of papers and a laptop, and together we started piecing it all together on my porch. "I've been curious about their financials," she said, showing me figures that made my stomach drop. Removing my property from their waste count would mess with their rebates in a big way. "Looks like there's a financial motive for claiming you, Evan," she said, circling numbers in red. It wasn't a clerical error, it was deliberate, organized, driven by desperation. My hackles went up. What else were they willing to do for money? The county rep had warned about civil liability, and Rebecca's notes made it crystal clear they were harassing non-member properties for the cash. After that call, I wanted to buy that county operator a cup of coffee just to say thanks. A field inspector was scheduled to come out and settle jurisdiction officially. But as Rebecca packed up her notes, I realized we'd only scratched the surface. By midweek, the neighbors started circling, whispering. "Heard there's a property dispute," said the lady 3 houses down, eyes flicking side to side. I kept my answers short, but I could feel the hum of a campaign working beneath the surface. By Wednesday, people were looking at me sideways. Someone was spreading stories, making me out as the unreasonable one. Then the twist-a-second tag. This one pink slapped on my trash can with a totally different lot number. I laughed until it dawned on me either they were incredibly incompetent or they were trying to muddy the documentation trail. I peeled both stickers off, took photos, and started a log. 3 tags, 3 wrong numbers, all in a week. That's when I called the non-emergency line to report a pattern of harassment. The dispatcher agreed systematic mislabeling counted as real harassment. Rebecca stopped by that night pointing out, if they're targeting you this much, it's civil liability territory. It was bigger than just trash fines. It was about power, about making an example out of someone who pushed back. Deputy Lucas Blake showed up next morning, patrol car angled so the whole block could see. "Let's establish clear legal boundaries," he said, scanning my files like he'd done this 100 times before. "HOA has no control here. No consent, no contract, no dues, no authority." As he finished explaining, Malene marched up with 2 board members stomping right onto my property like they owned the place. The deputy's expression barely flickered, but I could see he was about to lay down the law for everyone. "Ma'am, step back to the sidewalk," he instructed. "HOAs are voluntary associations with limited scope. Claiming power you don't legally have brings real liability." The other board members shuffled awkwardly, suddenly realizing this wasn't going to be the cakewalk they'd expected. My phone buzzed with neighbor group chat messages, all speculation and drama. That confrontation changed everything. Public official with neighbors and cameras rolling. The deputy created an incident report, explained how documentation could be key later if things escalated. "This record protects everyone's rights," he said. For once, the boundaries were crystal clear, backed by law enforcement. Rebecca returned with a deeper financial breakdown. Turns out the HOA had been inflating their waste tonnage with non-member properties for years to snag a bigger rebate. "If they lose your house, their whole rebate structure crashes," she pointed out. "We pieced together every tag, every number, building a case." "You know what scares me," I said. "If they're willing to commit fraud for rebates, what won't they do?" She just nodded. People get desperate when the walls close in. Night before the inspector arrived, I turned my kitchen into a war room. Photos, tags, notes, everything in order. The inspector showed up, county badge, gleaming clipboard in hand. He cross-referenced everything, measured the lines, took photos. "Based on the evidence and county records, you're definitively outside HOA scope," he said, drafting a non-jurisdiction order right there. Satisfaction hit me hard. Deputy Blake came back, patrol car parked in plain view. As the inspector posted the yellow order on my fence, Malene came barreling down the sidewalk, frantic. "This will destroy our rebate system!" she screamed, and then, no kidding, she snatched the official notice from the inspector's hands and tore it to shreds right in front of a cop. The inspector's voice went icy. "Ma'am, that's misdemeanor interference with a government employee. She just committed a crime in broad daylight." Justice at last. The county reposted the notice. Deputy Blake logged. The crime neighbors whispered, and Malene's panic only dug her hole deeper. The county attorney filed charges within 48 hours. The HOA board went into meltdown. Insurance providers threatened to drop them. The state oversight board launched an investigation, and suddenly even the board's loyalists were jumping ship. Within a week, Malene was stripped of her role, official apologies were mailed out, and the county issued a precedent-setting order, voiding all HOA actions on non-member properties. Our case became a template for the whole county. Standing up for myself forced a reckoning, a line drawn in ink and law that protected not just me, but every homeowner on the edge of overreach. Sometimes standing up to illegal behavior means knowing the law better than the people breaking it. I told Rebecca, stacking the last piece of evidence in my folder. It's exhausting, sure, but sometimes one person drawing the line makes everyone else safer. So how does that land with you? Satisfying crazy ever? Faced an HOA nightmare, or stood up to bogus authority? Drop a comment, share your story, or hit like if you want to support the fight. Guard your peace and guard your yard. I'll be here ready for whatever drama the next chapter brings.